Sounded healthy.
I should keep that in the intro.
Yeah.
It would be funny if I actually did, wouldn't it? Hey everybody, welcome to the Fractured Focus reaction to Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode number 5, Eastwatch. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Gordon, coming in live from the great state of Nebraska, the original swino of Omaha himself, Mr. Matt Swinehart. Matt, hell of a week, man.
Yes, it was. I stayed uber busy. Well, not Uber. I don't know. I was busy. I don't know if Uber was involved.
Well, that's good because there was a lot of stuff that also happened on the show this week, so that's a perfect segue right into it, too. Not as much action this week, but still a hell of a fucking episode. A lot of big shit happened. What did you think of the episode?
All in all, obviously not as good as last week's, but it definitely had its moments. A lot of information. A lot of plot things this week. So.
Some really big shit in there. In fact, I don't want to have that down the list, but we'll get to that when we get. I was going to say one of the biggest things that I would argue in Game of Thrones history that people. We'll get to that. Right away, the first thing that caught off my mind, I loved how they jumped right in after the battle, and we even talked about. I think we ended the last week's reaction show about we didn't know if that was actually Bronn that saved Jeremy, and I even tried watching after we talked about it, and I'm like, it still wasn't definitive. I mean, you don't really know. But, God, as much as we've talked about loving that character, I just love the conversation he has with him. Like, what are you thinking? Like, stop and use your brain and tell me what's going through your head. You don't get to die, motherfucker. You owe me a lot of money. By the way, I'm also out. Did you see what just happened? But you don't die until I get paid. I'm like, God damn, I love this fucking character. And watching the despair in Jaime's face just like, Jesus, and she's got 2 more of those things. I'm like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that was fantastic. And the character of Bronn, so well played. Just the names he gets away with calling him.
You don't get to kill you. Only I get to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just watch the energy just drain out of Jaime's face, like knowing, like, there's no way we even have a chance. Forget the dragons, even the Dothraki just absolutely decimated everything they had with absolutely no concern. Plus the fact he got 3 dragons.
Yeah.
We even talked about how, we wonder if it was actually going to get back to back to Cersei, what Olenna said, and what would Cersei's reaction be. Would she be less angry at Tyrion? I think we both agreed she's not going to give a shit. She'll still make up another reason to hate Tyrion just as much. But I think they really sent the point home in this episode that, no, Cersei knows that was the truth. Like, she said, I wish I wouldn't have listened to you and we would have tortured her. And, like, you could tell she knows it was Olenna, not Tyrion. But I still don't think that she gives a shit. She still hates Tyrion just as much.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she still has that hard line where he joined the enemy, he killed our father type of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. She wasn't going to change. You knew that.
Nope. And we basically knew that too. But yeah, so many things were coming to God. So many things came together in this. We talked about this even last week about 6 seasons of stuff coming to fruition. The way they're intertwining is great. This might not have had the action and some could argue the pacing because they did move from place to place really quickly.
Yeah.
But they might not have had the action from some of the past few episodes. But a lot of these lines intertwining with other characters that we haven't seen before. A lot of that happened in this episode, which was just fucking awesome. Right from the get-go. That was Bronn. We already talked about him. Tyrion and Varys talking about how Daenerys went a little bit too far. I'm curious, how far do you think that she went too far when she was burning the Tarleys alive? Because after everything that she's done, and Olenna Warner, don't be clever, go be a dragon. You've got to actually use this stuff if you want to get anywhere. But then watching Tyrion's face when he's watching the ashes of basically all the people that are from his home of Casterly Rock and his old armor from the Lannisters, and then her basically burning those 2 guys alive, and even Varys saying, we got to find a way to get through to her. Do you think she went too far? Or do you think it was justified?
Well, I never condone murder.
Dude, if we're gonna have that argument, then we can't even fucking talk Game of Thrones. Come on.
No. She needed to prove a point.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if they weren't going to yield, people need to know these are the consequences of that. Now, it does really kind of harken back to her father, though. Just the method in which she's doing it, burning him alive, burning him to death.
Do you think she's that bad? I don't think. I'm
No,
yeah, she's
no.
not
I mean,
insane.
it was just glimpses. No, not
Yeah.
insane, but I mean, obviously that reference is going to be made, and that
Yep.
connection is going to be made with him and what she's done now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the fact that we could say she's wiped another family off of Westeros, but we know there's still Sam out there. So we'll see what happens
Oh, that's
now that
right.
he's no longer a maester.
But he gave up all his rights to the heritage. Remember when he joined the Night's Watch?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Is he still a member of the Night's Watch, though, or is he going to go home and be Sam Tarly?
Yeah, we may as well jump right into that. As far as getting to see Sam again was really cool. And you know what's amazing is as much as you could see the frustration that Sam's got for, like, you have this apocalyptic world-ending scenario coming, and people are only going to listen to you so far, and he's aware of that, but it's like, this is going to happen, what's coming, and getting so frustrated with little inactivity, even though you kind of can't hate the Maesters, because even the Grand Maester, he makes sense. Like, he's not just saying, no, that's crazy, those are old stories. He's saying, okay, we will look into this more. I promise you we'll look into it more. Like, I think he's coming at it from a logical point of view that you can't get too mad at least the Grand Maester there, but before he left, well, I guess we may as well jump into this right now, because when he's talking to Gilly, one of the points made that has got to be one of the biggest, most poignant moments in all of Game of Thrones history. You've been, you just finally got into the show, but for people not just, and I didn't even get into the show until after 3 seasons had already aired, but for the people that have been reading these books for decades, since the 90s, the theory that Jon Snow was the child of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark is not something new. I mean, people have thought that, for years and years and years.
Yeah.
That was confirmed. Some could argue, maybe it's not officially confirmed, but come on. Based on what they show in the show, that's been confirmed. But something new that has never, at least to my knowledge, for those of you that are big fans of this, please feel free to drop this in. I've just never seen this before ever leaked or a possibility. I didn't even know they had annulments in Westeros. But the fact that apparently Rhaegar Targaryen had a secret annulment and a secret marriage the same day, which would mean Jon Snow is not a bastard. He is officially a full-fledged Targaryen. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was huge.
I just thought he was going to be just a bastard. Those two, I never would have saw that coming.
Yeah, me either. I mean, I guess I've been kind of engrossed in the theories and stuff like that lately. It's kind of taken up my YouTube feed.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome. I mean, it's one of those things that I don't think George R. Martin's ever said definitively that this is the case.
No, it's hard because this is now ahead of where the books are.
Yeah.
But you got to assume this has officially come from George R. Martin. I can't see them taking that dramatic of a twist unless they were doing that with George R. Martin.
Or at least with his permission.
Right.
To do so.
But I mean, even why take a drastic change that wasn't going to be part of the books in that fashion for no, you know what I mean? I mean, that's got to be in the books. It just sucks that, I mean, George R. Martin has even said in interviews, it sucks that some stuff is going to be unveiled, even if it's a slightly different turn or whatever, but some of the big points that are going to be the same are going to come out in the show first because we can't wait to make the show. It doesn't work like that. You can't take a sabbatical for a few years and hope you're going to get all these actors and crews and everything together. That's just not how shows work. But the fact that... Of all people, Gilly says this. She says the name wrong. Sam doesn't pick up on it and even cuts her off before she actually fully says who it was that he married or whatever. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
You just want to be like, shut the fuck up and listen to her.
But yeah, you also got to realize that Sam doesn't know that John is Rhaegar.
You're right.
Rhaegar's kid. I mean, he doesn't. We know as an audience, and Bran knows, obviously, because he's had the vision. He was in it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, to him, I mean, it's just like counting the shits.
Yeah, you're right. How
steps,
would he have any idea that that's got any bearing on anything in his life right now? So
yeah, I just love how they revealed it. And I mean, and the fact that they waited until now to reveal that, I mean, I think that's great because think about the end of, I think it was the end of the first episode when Ned and Jon separate on the King's Road, right? Jon obviously heading off towards Castle Black, Ned towards King's Landing, and he said, "The next time I see you, I'll tell you who your mother is."
Yeah.
I mean, had he said it then, nobody'd had any idea.
Right.
But obviously, the way that the pacing and everything is set up, I mean, they've done this phenomenal job.
Stuff is coming to fruition so well that again, there wasn't as much action in this one. It was not boring any scene.
No.
Every scene had a lot going on where you got to
No.
keep up. And wasn't it right after that scene where Gilly basically kind of lets us, the audience, know that, by the way, Jon Stark is not a bastard, that we see Drogon fly in, that basically shows a very quick bonding with Jon Snow, who we now know is a full... I mean, I guess he always would have had the same Targaryen blood, whether he was a bastard or not. But I got to wonder what's going through Dany's head at that point, because when she's sitting up on top, she looked a little bit taken aback with how quickly Drogon had no problem just letting Jon Snow touch his face. She didn't dress or say anything, but you could definitely tell there is some chemistry between those two, the way she was looking at him, especially when she said goodbye to him in this episode.
Yeah.
Cool. I agree. Awesome. Let's see, what else do we got going on? There's Jorah Mormont coming back was cool. I didn't think it was anything special. It was just cool to see him back.
Yeah, it's cool to see him back. Not the big reaction I was hoping for when he saw his father's Valyrian steel sword with Jon, but
yeah, I wonder if he even noticed. With the new hilt. Maybe that's just...
maybe I'll make a note of it next episode.
Yeah, I was going to say they're together up now fighting, which actually, we may as well go ahead and jump into that too before we get to some of this other stuff. Sending everybody up north to go kind of try to get a white to bring it back. I didn't see that coming. That seems like
to me that just seems super thin. Like it's like, what is the dumbest thing we could possibly think of doing? Yeah, let's bring an infected.
Well, I mean, it's not like
Landing.
the whites. It's not like a zombie that's going to infect other people. I mean, it was brought back to life from magic by the Night King way up there. I mean, we've never seen any whites spreading to other whites. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, how did those guys turn? Was the Night King that close to the wall that he turned those guys when he killed them?
That's what I think is implied.
And they brought it in?
I think that's the whole thing is even Jon Snow, the only white that's been south of the wall at this point was someone they brought through the wall. They made it very clear to say that in this episode. Because apparently the wall is imbued with magic that helps keep the dead on that side. That was the original intent, I'm assuming. Yeah. And the fact that they actually brought one through in the first season, my guess is, or maybe it was just smart storytelling now at this point, that was a clever way to show, yes, it is possible to maybe set something like this up. Because it's definitely a turn I wasn't expecting, but how else are you going to get everybody to believe this without showing it the case? I mean, don't get me wrong. If it was me, I'd be like, hey, I've got an idea. You got a dragon. Let's you and me hop up on that sucker. Let's fly up there for a few hours. I'll show you 100,000 dead people over the wall. Don't have to interact with them. Don't have to do anything. Then let's come back. Let's formulate a plan. Let's gather everybody together. Or you can use your dragon to scare everybody to say, hey, the dead's coming. Get up there or we're going to toast you, and let's go ahead and stop this threat. That's just me, though.
Yeah, me too. Or, I mean, you could just say, you got a few hours. We can go fly
Yeah,
up
no
there.
shit, right?
You can just go ahead and make a couple of strifing passes.
And just torch them all.
Now. Yeah, end this now, and we're all good.
Yeah, no shit. But I guess I'm trying to think of the argument they would make against that is, A, Daenerys, I don't think fully believes this yet. I mean, it seems like she definitely trusts and likes Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, this is so weird. Obviously, Cersei would never... I even love Cersei's reaction. Yeah, sure, whatever. But I love how she's being really smart about this. Like, she's playing several steps ahead. She knew the meeting between Tyrion and Jaime was happening. She let that happen, by the way. How cool was that fucking scene?
Yeah, that was cool.
Watching them both tear up, and you're like, man, both of these people are actually pretty, especially Jaime, we've talked about that over the past few seasons, has really kind of become more honorable, it seems, and less like a villain. But watching that scene where it hurts, and even when Tyrion's like, he was going to execute me for something you know damn well I was innocent of. I was hoping he was going to bring up that, by the way, he was also in bed with the girl that I was in love with that he corrupted and turned on me. But
yeah, his star witness.
Yeah, maybe that just wasn't necessary to the story. But Cersei seems definitely a few steps ahead of this. I mean, the fact that she's aware of this kind of parlay and they're going to try to use it to their advantage. Didn't we say at the beginning that we were guessing the war between Cersei and them is going to take place this season, and then the big war between the dead is going to be next season, and that's clearly not what's going on. They're really intertwining both together, which I love.
Yeah, they're.
Because we're only got 2 episodes left.
Yeah, is that it?
Of this season. There's only 7 episodes this season.
Oh, my God.
Uh-huh.
I had to go back and watch this one again. I mean, just because I felt like there was so much information in there that I missed the first time.
Well, when they send everybody up north, and you've got this. First of all, when Tyrion is going to meet with Jaime, answer me this: I'm excited as hell to see Gendry back. Everyone on the internet's been clamoring for it. I like the character. I still don't get why he's involved with this at all. So did Davos just think, you know what? We need one more soldier. I know a guy. Like, I don't get the reasoning behind it. Was he out there to save it? Like, I don't get the meaning behind. As soon as he said flea bottom, we all had an idea. Man, maybe it's going to be Gendry where he last left him. I still don't get the purpose. I think it's cool. I love the talk between him and Jon Snow about Baratheon and Starks have worked together. They clearly have a mutual respect for each other. They're both bastards. Well, they think that they both are. I like the pairing. I like him in the group. I still don't get why. To me, it doesn't serve any purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you think about it that way, there really isn't any purpose. I mean, it's just a way to bring another character in.
Or maybe they will have one down the road, which I hope. For me, it just seemed forced. I'm like, why are you risking getting caught or killed to go get this one? You know, I don't get it.
Well, I don't think Sir Davos saw it that way, because if you remember what he said when they were there, is he says that it's been so long since he's been there, nobody would recognize him anyway.
But it's still kind of a risk. Maybe not as big of a risk because he's a smuggler. He knows how to do this. I just don't. I'm wondering what his thinking was. Like, is there some way we can utilize your name? I mean, if anything, Baratheon would be a threat towards Dany's throne. You know what I mean? Or even Jon Snow's. Yeah. I'm glad he's back. I like him. I love the group, the whole group they have going up north. I just don't get why. It just seemed like kind of. The more I thought about it, I'm like, why are you here? That's cool. But I love.
I mean, you got a hammer.
Yeah, which is cool because that's cool. The Baratheon weapon, right? Is the hammer. Yeah. That's what Robert used to fight Rhaegar and everything like that. But that when they go up to Eastwatch, that was cool. We never got to see Eastwatch before. That was a cool place.
Yeah.
But and then you see the Brotherhood Without Banners and the Hound, and I love that scene for 5 minutes that goes by where everybody there basically hates another person for some reason.
Oh yeah. No, that was fantastic. And I mean, I love the Hound's character too. I mean, he's just so to the point.
He and Jon were basically the only ones that put an end to all that back and forth bickering that served no purpose about you did this to me and you did this to me and don't trust him and do this. And finally the Hound just goes, shut the fuck up. Are we coming with you or not? And Jon's the same way. Yeah, because we're all on the same side. What do you mean? We're all breathing. Like, short to the point. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fucking awesome. I love this group that they have going up there, and it'll be really cool to see how this works out, because isn't usually the second to last episode of the season always the big, that's where you had the Red Wedding, that's where you had Hardhome.
Well, and one of these, I mean, I think I remember looking at the run times, and one of these is like an hour and a half long.
Right.
And I'm wondering if it's this next episode that's going to be that long.
Yeah. God, I'm excited. Well, they even said the next season, the last season, might be long episodes. There might only be 7 or 8 of them, but they might be long, which is just, HBO's going to throw so much money into this shit.
Oh, yeah.
They're still having record numbers.
Fist. Yeah.
Even though their episodes leak, doesn't give a shit. They're still breaking numbers every fucking week. They don't even give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, it's a culture. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like last week when we talked about the leak. I'd rather watch it on Sunday with everybody else.
Yep.
I mean, it's... I don't even want to hear people talking about it.
No shit. Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not allowed.
Yeah, it is a culture. It's a group thing. It's a social thing. Absolutely. We've been talking all this season about how Littlefinger has basically seemed like he's on the sidelines, or his wings have been clipped because either you got Bran there, or people are so immune to the fact that you're just sneaky that they're aware of it and they don't even let you finish sentences anymore. And man, was he back in true fucking form tonight. And I loved seeing it.
He's been conniving this whole time. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, if he's in the scene, if he's there, he's up to something.
And you know what? So. They've already got apparently all the episodes even written for next season. Like, they've got this planned out, so they know how stuff's going to go. But now this makes so much more sense, even if you think back to the end of last season. Because we ended last season with him instilling seeds of doubt in Sansa about how he knows that she likes, just like Arya was even saying, being in charge or whatever you want to call it, planting those seeds of doubt and now finding a window in it by creating a wedge between Arya and Sansa that he's clearly doing, and basically just what Arya thinks she's being all sneaky and he's totally fucking aware of it. He's been doing this his whole life, that he's just purposely driving a wedge.
That was a little bit of a letdown. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was expected because it is Littlefinger.
See, right? I didn't expect it.
He's not new. Mm-hmm. He's not new, but Um, it was a little bit of a letdown that Arya even got caught doing it. It's almost to the point where, she's supposed to be this badass assassin, and
no, those are good
Jaqen
points.
H'gham.
Here's my counterpoint to that. I don't think she just got caught. I think he's been aware of it the whole time. You haven't watched. I mean, if you watch afterwards with the showrunners, he's basically leading her by the nose, like that letter that
the
she
scroll.
The Found, which was one that Sansa wrote when she was season 1, and Cersei made her write it, and everybody knows that it was bullshit. They even said when they got it, this is not how Sansa talks. The only one that doesn't know that is Arya, and that was purposely put there for, like, this whole thing was intentional.
Was it that? I guess I thought the scroll when I was watching it was the announcement that Jon had been killed at the wall.
No, I freeze framed it, and then it's also all over the internet. What that letter was, that was the scroll that as soon as they kidnapped or they put Ned in jail, they hadn't cut his head off yet because Joffrey was now the new king. Cersei made her write it to Robb Stark before he became king of the North, and said, "Our father is a traitor. Please pledge fealty to King Joffrey." And yada, yada, yada. And they all knew right away it was just Cersei making her doing it. But when Arya doesn't know that and she reads that, especially after the speech she just had with Sansa about you always want to be in charge and you're already thinking about it right now, Littlefinger knows that nobody gives a shit about that note. The only person that would be Arya. And that would drive a further wedge. So I don't think it was a thing of him getting caught. I think this was intentional the whole time. He knows she's following her behind. He purposely asked for that letter just so that she would find it. I think this is all intentional.
Okay. Yes, I guess I was completely off on that then. I
thought and that's just my interpretation, but I just remember the showrunner saying she thinks she's spying on him, and don't get me wrong, she's become a good stealthy spy assassin, but he's been working behind the lines with 30 threads his entire life, and he is leading her by the nose intentionally to create a wedge, because as soon as they create a wedge, who is Sansa finally going to start turning to again? Littlefinger.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And then obviously Jon not returning to Winterfell before he went to Eastwatch. I was kind of like, why don't go to stop at Winterfell, then go up to Eastwatch? Don't just make it immediate. But no, I guess I'm wondering too if that rumor that Littlefinger is the one that started the whole rebellion to begin with is going to come to fruition as part of the show.
We still haven't found out, because when he gave that dagger to Bran as a present, and they had that little dialogue, didn't Bran ask him who it used to belong to, and he said he didn't know? But even before that episode aired, and they had, previously on Game of Thrones, and they said, "Where's this dagger? It was mine, but I lost it to a bet to Tyrion Lannister." Yeah. Wasn't that shown just to show that when I tell Bran I don't know where it came from, that I'm lying, I'm assuming? Wasn't that the whole point?
I think so, yeah.
So, I'm assuming he was the one that hired the assassin to kill Bran, not the Lannisters, but I guess we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, that, and I mean, even going further back, I mean, since they touched on the fact that Rhaegar got an annulment and then secretly married Lyanna.
Oh,
if it wasn't Littlefinger, because supposedly, like I don't know if it's in the books or just rumor stuff, but in some of the things I watch is that it's possible Littlefinger's the one that told Robert and all them that she had been kidnapped.
Oh, that's
possible. Started everything.
Yeah.
So,
God, so much fucking. I mean,
mythology. That's way off topic, but
but who gives a shit? That's what we do. Next, we're going to talk about Transformers.
Yeah, and how they match in Westeros. Yeah, the Arya thing, just a little disappointment. I mean, I guess I just kind of want her to be this badass, and I almost just want her to leave Winterfell and go to King's Landing, or go do something that's going to develop her story more. And kind of that whole.
I hear what you're saying. I'm just glad a little bit, because if she would have caught Littlefinger right away and stopped him, he hasn't done anything deep enough or cool enough to warrant getting caught. You know what I mean? The plots have to go for a while. They have to actually bring to something fruition, then come to where something drastic happens, and then slit that guy's fucking throat.
Does she know that Littlefinger flipped on her father?
I don't think so.
In King's Landing.
How would she know? I'm assuming.
I mean, because she was in King's Landing still at the time, but I guess she was with her water dancing teacher.
Right. And then she left and didn't talk to anybody. Right.
Yeah. She went through the basement where all the dragons and stuff were to get away.
And that guy from the Night's Watch grabbed her, made her not watch her father's beheading, and then just got her right out of Dodge. So she hasn't talked to anybody, doesn't basically know what happened or anything. So who knows? But man, even when Sansa, at that beginning scene where Sansa's at the table and all of a sudden the Knights of the Vale and the Karstarks are like whining about the king. I just keep going back to that scene from last episode that just got your heart thumping with the music, and they're like, I'm sorry, I'll follow you, I don't care if he's a bastard, and they all go King of the North. Here we are a few episodes later, and now you're acting like whiny little bitches children ready to change your fucking fealty and your oaths. How do these oaths last for 1,000 years when we can't even seem to get through like one fucking season without them changing their loyalties? What a bunch of whiny bitches.
Well, apart from the Knights of the Vale, the other two didn't even come to Jon's aid.
Yeah, that's true.
To fight the Boltons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as their loyalty, it's really non-existent anyway.
And then Sansa doesn't just sits there, and just like Arya said, I was ticked before she even said that. I'm like, are you going to fucking say anything? You're just like, I'm sorry, my lords. I appreciate your advice, but he's doing what he thinks is right. Anywho, gotta go. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. If that was Catelyn Stark, can you imagine what she would have said?
She would have shut the shit down.
She would have shut the shit down and said, hold your fucking tongue. That is your king. You know, remember what he did for you. And, so watching Arya and Sansa's reunion, or I shouldn't say reunion, that scene in her room where she's just like, you're thinking about it right now. You don't want to, but yeah, you are. And you can see it definitely is. I love that fucking dynamic. Didn't see that coming either. I must not be that smart because I can't tell half the shit that's coming even when it's telegraphed. Tyrion and Jaime, Gendry was really cool. So, do you think Cersei's really pregnant, or is she fucking with Jaime?
I had that written down number one. Like the first thing on my list was the baby announcements. I'm wondering if they're going to have a gender reveal on the show or not. Just joking.
Boy, well, we do jump ahead in time a lot. If we jump 9 months.
I think it's entirely plausible. I mean, it has to happen if they're going to continue a bloodline. Now, didn't that witch say that she was only going to have 3 children?
Oh,
and
yeah.
She'd be surpassed by a more beautiful.
You're right. Queen. Oh, I didn't even think about the witch.
The king would have 22 or something like that,
because
and she would have 3.
You're right. That gives them purpose again, because I love even when she says, it's our family dynasty or whatever, and Jaime, I think it was a few episodes, goes, what dynasty? Our kids are gone. There's nothing left. This does at least give them a little sense of purpose. But how does that...
some kind of purpose, anyway.
How does that... that was one Cersei's only redeeming quality is love for her children. So if that gives her something to fight even stronger for, but I don't know. Yeah, how does that fall in line, though, with the witch's prophecy?
What it really does to Jaime is it causes even more internal conflict.
Yeah.
Because it might come to that point where he has to kill her, but then he also has to think now that his child is also emperor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from that dynamic aspect, I mean, it makes Jaime's character just, that much more miserable for what he may have to do.
God, as much as we've talked about the potential of Jaime killing Cersei, I'm just wondering if that's not going to be another curveball where it's completely something else. Because if that's been in the prophecies, in the books, that they didn't talk about in the show, that you'll be killed by your younger brother, I'm just wondering if it's going to be something else or different and not be Jaime the way that we think it is. Just knowing George, because I'm constantly so surprised and wrong about shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I don't fucking know. But we were right. Like we're the first person to come up with that. People have been saying that for over a decade about Jon being, from Rhaegar and Lyanna. But I don't know. Who knows? You're right, though. That does add a lot of weight, more conflict if that actually comes to pass. That'll be cool to see how that actually goes. Let's see. Gilly's discovery, Littlefinger, the Hound. Oh, well, do you have anything else big? The only thing that I had was more of a question than anything else. We didn't see anything from Theon. What's going on with the Greyjoys? Did he get approval to help, or from Dany, or what's going on with him?
Yeah, I guess I don't know that either, because he wasn't in this episode at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they never went back and revisited it after she returned. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see.
I have a feeling we'll find out before the season's over.
You think?
That's my prediction.
I've got a feeling, tomorrow's going to be that always penultimate episode, the second to the last one that's going to be big. Hopefully it's an hour where we're just fucking ecstatic. And we've already been as excited as we have been after watching every episode this season. I can't fucking wait for next week to see what the hell happens.
Yeah, I was half expecting when John left with all that dragon glass to go to Eastwatch, or at the time I thought he might be heading to Winterfell. I half expected the fleet. What's his name?
Euron
Greyjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I half expected him to fuck shit up.
Yeah, they move so fast now. From like literally 5 minutes later, he's all of a sudden at Eastwatch, which must have taken weeks to get up there.
Yeah, you'd think.
And well, we know that's probably the case, but I started thinking about it. A, we don't need the time in between. I think that I'm so glad that they skipped past that crap. Yeah. And B, they've wiped out so much of the cast that you don't really have a whole bunch of other stories you can be telling during the duration of your trip. You kind of don't really have much choice at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we kind of try to throw it chronologically in there, so she returns to Dragonstone after the raid. We'll call it a raid. So all that happened within a day.
Yeah.
It seems like, because he said you weren't gone very long. So all that happens within a day. Drogon doesn't seem to be affected at all by the arrow shot that he took. Seems to be fine. As far as for Grey Worm and all them getting their fleet burnt down, I mean, that could have happened just a week beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, that's time is kind of skewed.
Yeah.
Obviously, however long it takes them to get from High Garden to King's Landing with the gold, which might have only been a few days.
Yeah. Because it really doesn't add a problem. It doesn't hurt the story, I don't think. Do you?
I don't think so. I mean, they could have been on the wrong side of the continent.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
So.
Cool. Well, for those of you watching, let us know what we missed, what we might have said wrong, probably everything, and what you're excited about for next week's episode. Don't forget, you can always check out regular episodes of Fractured Focus, where we talk about everything from geek culture to nerd news, along with random topics for discussion. You can always check us out at youtube.com/fracturedfocus. With that being said, let's hope that next week is as kick-ass as this season has been so far, which I think is a pretty fucking safe bet.
Yeah. Return of Robin and the Moon Door. Woo! Starting the campaign now. Everybody else is coming back.
How cool would that be, actually, if they pulled like a South Park and just did a Terrence and Phillip whole episode? In this case, the whole episode is just about Robin up at the Vale, whining, trips and falls through the moon door at the end, cut to credits. With that being said, till next time.